welcome to Honest Car Reviews. My name is Eric and this is the Ford Mustang Mach-E GT. The Mach-E has gotten the GT treatment and the question is this something that you should consider buying when you want a performance electric SUV? And should the Mach-E get a GT performance version altogether? With the GT package or the GT version, they've gotten quite a lot of exterior tweaks. Not only this extra option paint that looks almost towards the gold color. It's a mixture between yellow and orange. Looks quite a lot like the orange Fury that you get in the ICE Mustang GT. But you have also gotten an even more aggressive front lower bumper here. You also get a new grille. Yes, they try to mimic grille because even though this is flat, it is colored in a certain way that makes it look like a grille. Have an even more aggressive lip, which is dark, very large I must say. The wheels or the rims are also bigger, 20-inch, looks amazing. And you get 245s in the front and in the rear. Pirelli P0 summer tires. In the rear of course have the GT badge, thick diffuser. And we'll start with some of the specs of the car. So both front and rear wheel drive, so 4-wheel drive, 487 horsepower, 860 Nm of torque. 0 to 100 km an hour is done in 3.7 seconds or 3.75, so they round it down. The battery is 88 kilowatt hours and the claim range is just about 500 kilometers. I don't know if you see this, but the hood is extremely curved. You see this bulge in the middle and then it goes down. It's pretty evident when you sit inside how curved and long this hood actually is. Underneath you have the MagneRide suspension, and depending on which driving mode you're in, I'll talk more about the driving modes later, with new price hikes with the extra option paint and the panoramic sunroof, costs over 100,000 euros for a Ford. That is a lot of money. There's also one thing that I think we need to look into. Do you need to spend that much amount of money when you buy a Mach-E? What do you get extra for so much money? The exterior, I'll talk about the front, but the weak side or the weak part I think is this part. Well, it looks quite chunky, but because of the rear lights, even though it has some nice width to it, the way that the lights or rear lights are designed, it looks quite thin. And the proportions I don't feel go together well with the front. And I think it's just the limitations of having an SUV. Don't forget, this is a fairly large car. You're up there with BMW X5 size, but the size of the trunk is only 402 liters, which is one of the smallest. In terms of competing with the EV SUV market, this is not up there. Then Volkswagen ID.4 has over 500. 40/60 configuration to fold down the rear seats and clear fairing points. You do have a ridge, quite unnecessary I must say. Some more storage underneath. We'll look into the rear seats, and you don't have a handle. You press this button and the whole door opens. You can see how wide the car is. Easy to get in and out. There's a large opening, especially here. I don't know if this is meant to look like this, but you can see the residue from cleaning on this plastic. Looks not that nice, I must say. Can feel it as well. Huge panoramic sunroof, it is an extra option. very dark inside. You do have white stitching and some suede and some leather. I do like how I'm sitting, a bit lean back, but not that much lower thigh support. The knees are quite high up and my knees are actually touching. Okay amount of foot space, or I would say more than adequate. Okay amount of headspace and an okay view forward because of this shape of the headrest on the front seats. And you see that they have designed the door to go all the way down to cover the ingress here, so your pants won't get dirty when you get in and out. I have two screens, but the most dominant one is of course the over 15-inch infotainment system or infotainment screen. A bit more smartphone-like. It's connecting the phone right now. And here are all the history, so navigation, Bluetooth, and so on. It takes some time getting used to. A bit of a higher learning curve than other infotainment systems, but once you get used to it, everything is located fairly easy with 1 or 2 presses. The problem I have with this one is the speed that everything works. Feels a bit slow, I must say, especially for the price of the car. And when you want to park, you have to go into 360-degree cameras. You do press parking and then you go into camera, or you can go via, let's close this thing, come on, can I disengage it? Yeah, like that. Either I can go like this, go to park, or you can press this button underneath. You have a circular control for reverse, drive and neutral, and you have L, which is basically left foot driving. But you do have a dedicated button for that. If you go here, one pedal driving. So this works more like slowing down and regen, but it won't stop completely like one pedal driving will do, and not brake as aggressively. This, you'll see that it lights up. I can't see it, but it's for IR, for reading the eyes, and for autonomous driving, which we'll hopefully get in the future. The seats are different for the Mach-E GT. So is the material or the design here. Looks a bit nicer, but nothing that really stands out for being a GT. Maybe the embroiderment and the white stitching and so on. For the price, there must be something else, a bit something more that I'm just want to see. We have talked about the interior, the exterior. Now we're going to talk about how the car is to drive, both on the highway, more normal driving, and on some more twisty roads. New location, I know, continuity error, but I want to show the frunk, which is one of the bigger ones. Decent size. In terms of just driving it on the highway like I'm doing now, there aren't that many differences. It's quiet like every electric vehicle is. The steering is light, the infotainment is the same, and so on and so forth. There's a bit of more tire noise, but hardly any wind noise. And the consumption at 80 is about 17 kilowatt-hour per 100 kilometers. This was done in about 11-degree temperatures in the evening, so the road and so on was quite warm. But when you go into 110, 120, you're starting to reach about 27 kilowatt-hour per 100 kilometer. So that's important to know. And when you start to go into the city, start and stop driving, you will average about 23, 24 kilowatt-hour per 100 kilometer. I can talk about driving on some more bumpy roads, and that's where the Mach-E GT starts to show what it's designed for. It's definitely a very stiff car. You get jolted around a lot. Even though this has MagneRide, which changes its stiffness, and in general I love on the ICE engine Mustang GT, it does not really work here in normal driving when you want everything to be as comfortable as possible. Right now I'm in Whisper. There's Active and Untamed, which we'll get to later, with the 245 tires being a bit more sporty, less flex, heavy, and a bit more sportier approach. When you start to go over broken roads, the stiffness shows a lot. And for a car that should be able to do both a bit more aggressive driving, but also that GT cruising in between and normal driving, I think the Mustang Mach-E GT has gone a bit too far into the sportier line or approach, which really hampers the comfort levels in normal driving. You really do need to get used to the way that the power is applied and the brake. When I picked the car up, it was quite difficult to be smooth with the power delivery, and especially when stopping those few meters. It seems that I never really get the hang of it to stop smoothly. I always stop the last couple of kilometers an hour really abruptly. Doesn't matter what I do. Untamed. For some reason Untamed Plus is not available. Propulsion sound is on. And that mid acceleration from 50 to speed is ridiculous. But so stiff, jumpy, and makes it feel not settled down. Not that eager to turning. I have to apply a lot of angle on the steering wheel to make the car turn in. Quick, but I have to be so focused to drive this quickly. It feels like a jackhammer the way this tries to mainly rear-wheel drive, and not super impressed at all. Feels very stiff, very jackhammery, just aggressive on it in a unnatural way. Very electronic, not mechanical, not rewarding. It's a hassle to drive this car fast. Big effective brakes. Doesn't get a good feedback from how the car loads up, and then some rotation when you start to apply too much throttle. A bit twitchy. Difficult to drive smoothly. Let's see how it changes direction. It pushes, it pushes. The bite from the front is not enough. Is this Ford Mustang Mach-E GT something that you should consider? Well, if you look at the price, the Kia EV6 is definitely cheaper. It has more horsepower but less torque. And if you just look at the exterior, of course that's for your own preference. The Tesla Model Y performance is also up there, but it's a lot cheaper. This is in this spec over 100,000 euros, and for that you can get an Audi SQ8. That's how much car you get for the money. You can get a Porsche Taycan, albeit not the most extreme one. You get so much car. And when you're in that space, you can't just bring speed. You can't just bring cool exterior. You need to combine everything in an amazing way. And I don't feel that Ford has done that well enough. Not even the best MagneRide suspension could hide the fact that this is a very heavy car. if you want to have something usable, go for the regular Mach-E, because that does everything that a Mach-E should do. A competitive range, competitive price, and a nice exterior. This is overkill, which is nice, but not packaged well enough for the price. And that's my final review for the Ford Mustang Mach-E GT. See you next time.